Hey, everybody. Welcome to a very, very special episode of the WWB podcast. I have on one of the most distinguished gentlemen on the entire planet Earth, especially in the commentary realm. You may know him as Brother GB, Mr. Bonner, but we're going to call him today Brother Bonner. Welcome him in.
You know, there's a part of me that's starting to get worried. I hope that your listeners aren't tired of me. Because, I mean, I am like, I hope they're like, oh, no,
No, you give us the scoops because you have such a profound way of explaining pro wrestling. You have such a profound way of articulating the experience of being a pro wrestling fan. And I think, if anything, fans probably appreciate the way that you surgically dissect things in a manner that is so professional. And that's what we really are trying to do. We're trying to bring the professionalism up in the pro wrestling podcast world up. Excuse me, just a smidge besides the burp. So we are talking about Battle Slam, Fight for ATL at the Oasis Center in the ATL metro area. Mr. Bonner, you had the distinguishing point here of being on the commentary team. Talk about this Battle Slam number 2 versus the original, and what you noticed about this experience. For me, before I hand it off to you, I noticed it seemed to be more seats, and it was like the energy and the people were just, it seemed like it was even more electricity in the air. What do you think, Mr. Bonner?
Yeah, you know, the differences between the two. Obviously, the first one, I'm not sure that everybody knew what to expect, but even in that first one, you know, the crowd was so hyped, and they were so prepared, and they were so pumped. So I think that really led into the anticipation for this second one. You know, Fight for Atlanta was special on a lot of levels. Probably the biggest one is that we were live on pay-per-view, which I don't know that people understand how significant of an undertaking that is. And so it is a really different kind of operation to do that versus doing a show that's taped to be released later. Now, let me just go here because you talk about me taking you guys kind of inside, and I'm going to do that with this. And I'll say this. I don't think, well, let me start by saying this. First of all, there's not a bad way to present wrestling from this perspective. You can either do it live on pay-per-view, or you can record it and air it live, or air it later. Either one is fine, right? I think the key to it is ensuring that, you know, whatever it is that you're doing is being presented in a way that reflects you really, really well. I will say that obviously when you record something and then air it later, you have the opportunity to do edits. You have the opportunity, you know, you're working with a net, basically, you know, because once people see it, they won't know if that actually happened then, if you came back and overdubbed, like they won't know any of that. It's really the difference between doing a live recording and a studio recording.
Oh, yeah.
It's that, you know. And so when you're in a live setting on pay-per-view, I'm going to say this. I feel like because fans have seen so many live pay-per-views from spaces like, you know, WWE or AEW or wherever you've seen that, I don't know that people really understand what it takes to do a live pay-per-view. And so with that said, I really want to shout out Baron Black and the entire team at Battle Slam, because doing a live pay-per-view for only our second show was a massive undertaking. And there were things that we, you know, figured out on the fly, and all kinds of things that, you know, people who were in the building had no idea about. And that's kind of the neat thing about all of this. And one of the reasons why I think it's so special is having all of the things that were happening in one space, and still making the folks who were there and the folks who were watching happy and excited, man. That's really special. So I think for me, my perspective was a little bit different this time because I saw a lot more behind the scenes than I did even for the first show.
Oh, and that's why we love to have on the distinguished gentleman, Brother Bonner. Bruh, this was quite a stacked card.
It was.
In terms of star power, it just keeps getting better and better. For those who have not seen the first Battle Slam, I encourage you to go watch it. It's on Fight TV as well. Am I correct?
That is correct.
And then this one is there as well. I'm actually going to double buy it just because I want to see it from that perspective as well. I've been live at both, but I also want to just support. And Baron Black, yes, that brother did an excellent job of curating a card of interesting folks, of talented folks, and even pushing some storylines further as well. Because if you did watch Battle Slam, the original one, there are some other storylines that tie with the second one. So we're going to dive in. Battle Slam started with Little Scrappy doing Head Buster, which for people who do know about Little Scrappy in the early 2000s hip hop, especially in the ATL, what a great song. Little Scrappy was a perfect person to me to start off the electric energy in the building. What are your thoughts, Mr. Bonner?
Oh, I totally agree. And again, what's happening with Battle Slam that I think is so cool, the concept for those who don't know, it is this collision between pro wrestling and hip hop. And both elements are of extreme importance. And so to be able to get an artist the caliber of a Pastor Troy or a Little Scrappy, which really means so much to this Atlanta area, it is an amazing way to start a show. And so I think for as much as the fans come for the wrestlers, they also come for the performances, which has been historically hard to do. I mean, think about it. When you've seen, a WrestleMania or, a Raw or even the days of Nitro, when they would have a live performance, because of the audience and things, it almost felt like it didn't fit everybody. Where in this case, let me just tell you, there was such interest that and the fans couldn't see it because the fans were totally into the performance, but there were wrestlers who had come out from the back with their phones to watch Little Scrappy, just like they did with Pastor Troy. So I think Little Scrappy was a great start to the show. And again, got the energy completely right. People were pumped. It was a great way to start the pay-per-view.
No question about it. Quite the star power. I thought I saw somebody from the old WCW days. Is that the cat was there?
Ernest Miller. He absolutely was there. That's right.
I saw Ernest. I said, bro, okay. Oh, does he live close?
Yeah, he's here in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. That's so dope, man. Well, yeah, that had me popping inside. I was like, oh, that's the guy. Oh,
yeah,
he's so talented. So that was dope. That had me like the inner fanboy was going crazy. So after Little Scrappy gets the event started off on the right note, we had a fatal 4-way match. Brother Bonner set the table with these 4 talented young men. And I have a special place for these 4 young men because Kenny Alfonso has actually been on this podcast recently. And he is one of he's a rising star in the independent circuit. And no doubt sometime soon, one of these big organizations need to give him a big fat contract. This brother is absolutely talented. So I hate to say I had a little bit of bias, but talk about the fatal 4-way and the combatants.
Absolutely. So there was a 4-way eliminator match that featured Trey Lamar, Kenny Alfonso, Shoot Taylor, and Lee Moriarty. And so obviously a lot of fans are familiar with Lee Moriarty, recently signed to AEW in the top 50 on PWI's illustrious 500 list for 2021. So he kind of goes without saying as an amazing talent. One of the things I love about Battle Slam is its ability to merge these names that you've heard from AEW and MLW and Impact with independent stars that are people whose names and faces you need to know. And so it ends up serving as an education for a lot of people to be able to see some folks and then remember names that they won't forget because they're giving such amazing performances. And so that was the case in this opening match. Man, Trey Lamar, Kenny Alfonso, Shoot Taylor, all of them have appeared either previously on Battle Slam or Terminus. And so to have them in a four-way eliminator with Lee Moriarty is really, really crazy. It proved to be a phenomenal match. And one of the things that happened, which I don't know which people loved more, if they love the in-ring activity or if they love the entrances, because the entrances were all very unique, and seeing Lee Moriarty come out to LMA's Boot Up and having him dance in the middle of the ring is just something you don't normally see.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of Battle Slam.
No question about it. The crowd responded to Lee amazingly. Obviously, we know he's a superstar, well-loved, great. His charisma, it just speaks for itself. And the same thing with Kenny Alfonso. But again, Shoot Taylor, as we've seen on previous Battle Slam, the audience loves saying, shoot, shoot, shoot. He is a big fan favorite, especially at Battle Slam. The spots were amazing. The physicality, the athleticism, it just extremely crazy. And also our buddy Kenny almost got the W, but he takes the L when it comes to Lee Moriarty. I was like, yo, my buddy Kenny is coming up in the world. It was nice to see. And these gentlemen went forward. I mean, the dives to the audience, I was several rows back, and let's just say it was a 3D experience. Yes,
it was amazing. And I think this is the other thing that's incredible about an experience like this is certainly it was a big deal to have it come down to Lee Moriarty and Kenny Alfonso. But what's even more interesting is when you put in great performances in a pay-per-view setting and people are watching, sometimes as important as the win is, the performance itself is that much more important. And so I think, Kenny Alfonso, Trey Lamar, Shoot Taylor, they are all names we're now going to be talking about because of a match like this one.
No question about it. No question about it. We had a huge, for Baron to book this match, this is absolutely groundbreaking. The Impact Knockouts Heavyweight Championship title. Queen, my first love, Queen Aminata versus Tasha Steelz. Man, no one was expecting this to be a title. We knew she had the title, but I want you to set the table for this because you do it so amazingly. But what a big match to get at a pay-per-view. Unexpected.
Yeah. So, when I found out that, the announcement was made that Tasha Steelz would take on Queen Aminata, the match alone is like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, okay, this is the Impact Knockouts World Champion. This is a big deal. Queen Aminata, you could make the argument that she is the face of Battle Slam.
Undefeated.
Undefeated people, the response to her every show grows and grows and grows. And so it is basically, the immovable force, or, that whole situation. There was two things that are just kind of what's going to give you. And so nobody knew that this was going to happen until Queen Aminata gets on the mic and she's like, hey, I know who you think you are, but if you're really the best, put the title on the line. And so we can now say for the first time ever, Battle Slam had a world title match happening on pay-per-view. And really the implications were huge because if Queen Aminata wins this match, she then goes into Impact Slammiversary for their 20-year anniversary this weekend as the champion to fight in the first ever Queen of the Mountain match, which is massive. So this was a really big deal. And so this match itself was incredible from start to finish. And it just felt like we didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
We probably could have seen this one. And here's the thing, because it originally wasn't scheduled to be a world title match, then it did have a 10-minute time limit to it. If I'm sure, the folks knew it was going to be a world title match, it would have obviously gotten some more time. But that's what happens when things happen on the fly.
Oh, yeah.
And so the match ended up being a time limit draw. I know people wanted to have more time. I wanted to have more time. I hope it's not the last that we see of these two. And I'll tell you what's so amazing about this Queen Aminata has impressed so many people for so many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And what's amazing in this particular space is you have two women who are absolute queens.
Yes.
Who absolutely rule the places that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for as incredible as these women are, everybody understood, yo, this is a match we have to pay attention to.
Huge match.
It was huge.
Yeah.
I cannot overstate how big this match was. And it's certainly worth going back to watch on pay-per-view.
No question about it, Brother Bonner. And other things that I observed as I was taking notes. First of all, to set the mood right, to set the story right, to get Queen Aminata on the mic, which is nice. You hear the Queen speak for one of the first times. And for Queen Aminata, she has this charisma where she carries herself with a certain amount of energy, and when she challenged her, and she is actually, when you look at it, she's a powerhouse. A lot of people would expect her to be like a very high flyer or do a whole bunch of flips and dips and all these things. She is a powerhouse. And just the way that her and Tasha just threw hands, it was stiff, it was physical, it had some chicanery as well in some ways, and then at the end, where Queen Aminata goes to maybe shake her hand, she puts the title in her face. I'm like, this rivalry, to me, based off what I'm seeing, is just starting.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's just starting. And it reminds me and informs others that Queen Aminata belongs on a major stage.
Say it again.
The fact that Queen Aminata belongs on a major stage.
Yes, sir.
Here it is that she took the Impact Knockouts World Champion to a time limit draw. And she didn't just barely hang in there. You know, you could argue if she had another few minutes, she would have won that match.
Mm-hmm.
So that says a lot about the talent that comes to Battle Slam. It says that they can hang with anybody in the world. And I love that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So hopping over, we had, after that firecracker of a match, we have a 4-way tag match. A couple people that I was not familiar with, like DRT, but a couple other ones like the Workhorsemen who I've heard of, and the Infantry with Captain Sean Dean and Charlie Bravo. Those gentlemen are... I love the Infantry. I can't wait. I just can't get enough of these gentlemen. But I want you to set the table. And it looked like, you know what? I will say this for DRT, the young men. They really, their stock, for me, when the match was over, they were elevated. They were placed just appropriately in this type of match. And they had the proper spots for them to be highlighted. And also with Infantry, because there was other beef they've had with other people as well. Because was C4 in here? Yeah, and C4 as well. Because C4, previously the Battle Slam before, beat Sean Dean and Charlie Bravo, the Infantry. So there was some beef. There. Talk about this match.
Yeah, there was absolutely some carryover from Battle Slam Vendetta between the Infantry and C4. There at Battle Slam Vendetta, they had a match for C4's prestige tag titles that ended in a bit of controversy. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, you know, C4 and the Infantry wanted to run it back. Well, this time they got to run it back, but with a few added details, and that would be the Workhorsemen, who those two guys, I mean, you're talking about J.D. Drake with 20 years in the business. Yeah. You're talking about Anthony Henry with 17 years in the business. You know, as a team combined, they've won multiple tag team championships all over the place. Mm-hmm. And then you have the brand new team of the Russell twins, who they've only started wrestling since 2020, but they are brothers. So technically they've been together all of their lives, you know, and some may not know this, but they also participated earlier this year in the first ever, how appropriate is this, a Teddy Long Memorial Tag Team Tournament, which is pretty awesome that Teddy Long has his own tournament now. And so really all four of these teams not only had a lot to prove, but any of them could have come out of this with a massive win. And so the Workhorsemen, just the encounters between the Workhorsemen and Carly Bravo and the Captain Sean Dean, the chops that Carly Bravo took.
Yeah. I'm going to say big chop.
I mean, he took a beating, and yet he came out with the victory along with his partner, Sean Dean. The Infantry get a massive win, actually pinning the shoulders of the Prestige Tag Champion C4. So you've got to believe that somewhere soon the Infantry will finally get that tag team title opportunity again against C4. But man, all four of these teams were incredible to be in the ring with. And I can't say enough about Carly Bravo. Here's a guy who, you know, of everybody in the ring, had the least amount of experience, just started in the business top of 2021. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I literally was there for his very first match at the Nightmare Factory, and to watch now him be on pay-per-view and all of these things that are happening, it is really quite incredible to watch. So the Infantry, yeah, they've got something very, very special, and the Battle Slam universe absolutely loves them.
I agree with you 100%. My correction, Carly Bravo. Yes, I'm from Baltimore, so we say things wrong. Yes. We call Audis Audis, but like, yeah, that's an Audi, but no, it's an Audi, sir. Okay, I got you. Excuse my Baltimoreese folks. Bro, yeah, JD Drake. Okay, I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
When people look at JD Drake, they don't understand how powerful and athletic and as strong as this dude. He does. Don't judge a book by its cover. JD Drake is a power. He's strong. He's powerful. He's extremely. He's got great. Agility. The dude works hard and stiff. I would love to see him in New Japan, to be honest.
Well, it's interesting. So there was a match that happened back in September of 2021 at an event called Hell Freezes Over. It happened here in Georgia. And it was a rare kind of event because, you know, in the world of Georgia wrestling, independent promotions don't always work together. And so on this one event, 8 different promotions were represented. And one of the big matches on there was JD Drake versus Joe Black. And let me tell you, it's a match you need to see. I think it's floating around on YouTube somewhere. Had the privilege of doing commentary for it. It was incredible. And so you're talking about that strong style, that New Japan. These two guys, it gives you everything you need, and then some. JD Drake is special.
Yeah, and I respect him. I love the fact that he's such a utility guy, especially when you see him on AEW. He helps people get over. He does his job. He's an amazingly talented gentleman, and it left me with saying, wow, I am a believer, firm believer. We're going to hop over to a huge match here. We had, I'm going to say her name, Rika. How you say it? Is Rika Tahaka?
Reka Tahaka. And we saw Ashley, and how do you say her last name? Ashley D'Amboise.
Okay, my Baltimore accent. So Ashley, she's killing me. Ashley D'Amboise and Raka Tanaka.
Reka Tahaka.
Reka Tahaka. I was there, folks. It's just my accent. I just can't do it. It's tough. But I was there. But and I did graduate high school, by the way. So sound it up. All right. So, but no, great to see Ashley again on Battle Slam. And it left me with, when I saw Mr. Haka, I said, whoa, she don't play. She throws them bows. She was a perfect person to be on Battle Slam too, because when I left, I was like, I don't want no problems with her. She comes off as a rad bad ass. What were your thoughts?
Yeah. He's amazing. I've been blessed to have experience working with both of these amazing young ladies. And again, both of them relatively new to the business. Ashley just celebrated her first full year in the business about 2 months ago. Reka has been in the business now for almost 3 years. And so it is really amazing to me what's happening with this new crop of wrestler that we're seeing. And so Ashley, again, she's been certainly on some big stages, Battle Slam, AEW. She's been working all over the indies, and she's been doing amazing. Reka Tahaka, Reka has done, both of them have worked in the Nightmare Factory, and that's where I met both of them. I've had a chance to follow Reka's career for about a year and a half or so, and she did some amazing work last summer in Southern Honor. Incredible. She's done some work in AEW. She's also part of a promotion out in Utah called Devotion Championship Wrestling. And recently she was signed to a company called WOW. That's Women of Wrestling. Yeah, she was just signed to them.
Signed? Oh, wow.
Yes, she signed to them. So you'll be seeing her when the next season debuts. And so she has been a talent that has been literally all over the place. And the world is really starting to get to see what I've known about Rekha Tahaka for almost 2 years now. And so she is that girl. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. She's that one. She has presence. She has great in-ring work. She's got all the it factor. And really both of them, they've got the look, they've got the feel, they've got all the things necessary to be major players in this business. And I know you're going to be hearing their names a whole lot. But Rekha came away with the win. And another great match on Battle Slam. If you guys are looking for great women's wrestling, Battle Slam brings it to you.
And the fans embrace it with full arms. And,
absolutely.
And which was so dope about Miss Rekha as well. She's also of Samoan descent. Am I correct?
That is correct.
I love that. I love the diversity. It was when you see people from groups that don't necessarily, The Rock, we know about the Usos, we know about Rikishi, but to see a woman of Samoan descent and who is a butt kicking bad, she could literally be an action superhero, bruh.
And that's one of the reasons she signed with WoW. WoW calls themselves WoW superheroes. And so she is literally that type. And I think it's also important for people to remember that, there are more folks from Samoa and the Pacific Islands than the folks you see in the Bloodline and the NOI family. Exactly. There is a whole lot that's happening in the world of wrestling, in way by way of Samoa. And so her story is really quite incredible, and one day I'll tell it. But she's amazing, and she literally has the world at her feet right now. So it's exciting to see what's happening with Rekha as well as with Ashley too. Ashley's getting some amazing opportunities traveling across the country. And again, anytime you get the opportunity to be on national television, that is a major win.
Fantastic. Couldn't say it better myself. Yes, sir, my brother. We had a match of a man, the architect of Battle Slam, a brother, Baron Black, versus a man who is so athletic. Zenshi, right? Is that how you say it correctly? Zenshi?
Yeah, Zenshi, yeah.
Bro, I would pay $100 for pay-per-view money to see him and Rey Mysterio do a 30-minute match. Zenshi continues to be an innovative offense. Baron Black with he is a bruising, powerful style. I love the way Baron Black, he's a rough and tumble dude. He's the type of dude that if I was in the back alley at a Zaxby's at night for some random reason, that I know Baron Black would assist me is getting my 3-finger chicken strip meal as well. But also he would back me up from getting beat up at this random Zaxby's corner in the
wow.
But I just absolutely, the dude is, and the thing I like about Baron is he understands the part of the psychology. He understands facial. He understands the movement. He understands intentionality with the way that he moves through the ring. This brother understands psychology. Mr. Superlative. I don't have any other superlatives at this moment. I've run out of them. But my brother, give us your thoughts of brother Baron Black versus Zenshi, a firecracker of a match as well.
Yeah, you know what interested me about this one is you have two completely different styles here. You got Zenshi, who is the aerial artiste, as he refers to himself, and you have Baron Black, who refers to himself as the HTIC, that is the head technician in charge, and he has that name for a reason. He is comfortable. What I liked about this is both guys are comfortable in their own skin. They know what they do. Now, here's what most people don't know. Baron Black, Zenshi, trained at the same school, WWA4, trained in the same class at the same time. Whoa. So when you're talking about history here, these are two guys with the exact same amount of experience, trained in the exact same school, and took two completely different paths. So when these two guys get together in a ring, it is special. And again, two very different styles. And at one point, it certainly seemed like, the powerhouse ground style of Baron Black would overcome Zenshi. But one of the things that we learned at Battle Slam is, remember, it only takes 3 seconds to win a match. And so you don't have to dominate a match to get the win. And Zenshi pulled off a crazy move at the end of the match that got him the win in spite of being challenged and beaten down and things of that nature. So it was incredible. And you're right. I don't think Baron Black gets the credit that he deserves as an in-ring performer. He's incredible. And he has certainly helped a lot of the kids over, I shouldn't call them kids because they're grown adults, but a lot of the amazing people over at the Nightmare Factory. He has helped quite a few of them. And he continues to help this industry in a lot of ways. So what an amazing match that was.
The brother is absolutely talented in the ring and out the ring.
Absolutely.
Then we had a little angle. Okay. So Baron takes a unexpected loss. Little Scrappy's in there trying to do his thing, trying to keep us crunk or pumped up. And him and Little Scrappy get his fisticuffs. Explain that. What's going on with the rock bottom there? Something a little extra after that match.
It's really interesting. It was a complete shock to me. One of the things that I knew was that Little Scrappy was scheduled for a second performance. And so he took the ring. Obviously, Baron was unhappy about that loss, which I understand. I mean, when you dominate a match, and he's been on a bit of a losing streak, once you dominate a match like that and you feel like you're finally going to break that slump and then you lose, it just kind of takes something out of you. And so I think he kind of snapped in the moment. What he didn't realize, and what most people may or may not realize, is Little Scrappy loves wrestling. And would get into a ring and wrestle given the opportunity. And I think Scrappy saw an opportunity and took the opportunity.
No question.
And it made for a moment that
it's been viral now. It's viral right now.
It really is. It really.
I just saw like multiple people post this.
Yeah, it's everywhere, man. And so, Black America Web, which is not a wrestling publication in the least, they're connected to Tom Joyner and all those folks. They were talking about it. Like it's been crazy the spaces that it's ended up. But it just goes to show that people are paying attention to what happened at Battle Slam. What a moment. And again, it caught everybody off guard.
No question about it. Then we had a Royal Rumble match. Quite the menagerie of gentlemen. But I will say, the brother name was Action Jackson?
Yeah.
That brother, woo, was he on the I think he was on the first one too, was he? No.
No. I don't recall seeing him before. It was my first time seeing him. And he is he's a problem.
Yeah, that brother was cleaning the house.
Yeah.
Talk about this Royal Rumble. It was a lot of people I weren't necessarily extremely familiar with, but it was great to see these different names and to get familiar with, because for me, it gives me more people to root for.
Absolutely. So it was our first ever Battle Slam Rumble. And, the thing, and I tell people this a lot. If anybody follows me on socials, you'll hear me say this from time to time, that the greatest opportunities don't always go to the people with the greatest ability. Instead, it goes to the people with the greatest availability. And I think you have to be available for moments. There were people who were in that Battle Royal, the Battle Slam Rumble, who really just came to help, didn't plan on being in the show, and an opportunity opened up. And this is also why they tell you in the industry, always bring your gear, always come prepared, because you never know what will happen. And so opportunities opened up for a lot of people. And it was an incredible, incredible event. I mean, you had some guys like Pat the Bruiser who just, he was very, very tough. But then Action Jackson gets in there and just goes ham. He's eliminating everybody, and so he started to quickly become the favorite to win this thing. And it would ultimately come down to Chad Skywalker and Richard King, and they were the last two entrants into the Rumble, and they all teamed up to get Action Jackson out, and Richard King would end up winning the Battle Slam Rumble. And so again, what I love about it is Battle Slam is a space where you get to be introduced to the new stars of our business. And Richard King has a thing. He's got a thing. There is a unique charisma that he has that you can't miss. And so he wins this, and so some future opportunities will be coming for him, I'm sure.
I love it. Then we had a match that everybody was pumped for. This was of course, the Battle Slam favorite, a tournament favorite. We had Leon Ruff. I love the way he comes to the ring. I love the way he gets crunk. He gets pumped. He has I thought he had at least 12 Red Bulls because the brother comes ready to work. And then we had brother Dante Martin. Love seeing a person, when you see these people who are on national television and saying, look, I want to be here. I want to be a part of the culture. A level of respect that I have for these people goes up boatloads. I love seeing Leon Ruff and Dante Martin. This could be in any major organization's pay-per-view, to be honest. So to have them, to be blessed with them at Battle Slam, this was a pay-per-view worthy match. And did they deliver? Your thoughts, Brother Bonner?
Absolutely, they delivered. The thing about a match like this is these are two amazing talents. And, one of the things that I think people forget very often is when we're looking for the next major African-American star, we find ourselves looking in a lot of places and thinking they have to look a certain way and be a certain way, et cetera, et cetera. We often don't refer to our high-flying, athletic, super agile stars, but it's something about Dante Martin and Leon Ruff that we all want to get behind. So to see these two guys in a ring facing each other at Battle Slam was crazy. And here's the thing, I think people thought that it would be, you might as well have the match in the sky because they'd be flying so much. But they pulled off a lot of ground moves, which I don't think either of them expected. If you watch a highlight reel of Dante Martin or Leon Ruff, you're not going to see their ground game. So they had to pull out a ground maneuver to be able to get the upper hand. And it ended up being a ground maneuver that won the match for Dante Martin. So it was great. Again, it is worth watching on pay-per-view. And I'll say this, we're talking about results and things like that, but the beauty of this pay-per-view is it's one of those spaces that the matches are so good that even if you know the results coming in, you want to see the match because it absolutely is what we love about pro wrestling.
Oh, no question about it. These dudes are creative geniuses offensively. They are innovators of offense, and they do things that I can barely get up out my bed in the morning. These gentlemen are super talented. Now we had a match. Did we have a match up next? At this point, it needs to be a blood feud at this point, okay? We had a survival match, which was the first ever at Battle Slam, am I correct?
Correct.
It was a survival match versus Adam Priest versus JDX. We know if you have watched the previous Battle Slam, there is some bad blood. And something very surprising. Adam Priest is a short Caucasian man from Alabama. Am I correct?
That's right. Battleground, Alabama. And he has quite the fans at Battle Slam. He is very popular. I like his swagger. I ain't gonna lie. Even though he's a heel, I kind of like him. No lie, I do. But him and JDX, man, you think a slap box at a Waffle House at midnight is a bad fight. This was a serious pick him up, knock him out, legitimate fight in some ways. They were laying it in. Talk about this match. Yeah. They were definitely laying it in for sure. They have battled across Terminus. They have battled across Battle Slam. And now they finally are coming to a head in a match called a survival match, which, was very unusual. And the rules were really simple. There was no count out. There was no disqualification. There was no pinfall. The only way to win was for the referee to be able to determine that you could not continue. So there's no point that the referee is going to tell you to have a break or any of those other things. That stuff doesn't matter. Now, to your point about Adam Priest, he's the guy you love to hate, and you love to hate him so much that you end up loving him.
Exactly.
It's really a crazy thing. He is very popular in the Southeast. He's worked in Action and New South and Southern Honor and a lot of other places. where people are familiar with him. And so this war that he's had with JDX has really been something. And I think, when you look at this with Adam Priest, every part of this matters. So, I mean, from the entrance, where he blew people away coming out to a Meg Thee Stallion track.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, as soon as it hit and he came out, people went nuts. Like, are you kidding me right now? And then he referred to himself, wanted to be now announced as Adam Priest the Stallion.
Bro, that had me going, dude.
Man, all I'm going to tell you is you guys need to hear the commentary on that match.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me on this. There is some top shelf stuff on this match with JDX and Adam Priest. I will tell you that Suge Knight is hilarious, and the combination of the two of us was crazy for this scenario. I'll take you behind the scenes on this one too, and tell you this. So while we're doing commentary, obviously we're paying attention to the match, and somebody pulls up the chair next to me. It's the Impact Knockout World Champion, Tasha Steelz, who's sitting there watching the match next to us while listening to our commentary. And she is losing her mind, watching the match and listening to us. So trust me, if Tasha loved it, you guys are going to love it. Go check out the commentary on that match. But JDX ends up winning that match, kind of using some of Adam Priest's own tools against him. And so it was very, very creative, an amazing match. And again, it's not a kind of match that you see everywhere. Usually there's going to be a pinfall or, some other thing, but not a survival match. So this was a special match to check out.
And that's what I want to highlight. The thing I appreciate about Battle Slam, the Fight for Atlanta this time is because the diversity of matches, because you have to pace it out in a way where it doesn't get monotonous.
Right.
And you want it to be enjoyable, you want it to be balanced, and you want to keep the momentum. And to have these different stipulations and doing those things, it added to the variety and also the enjoyment, because it is quite a few hours of wrestling, but it was perfectly constructed in terms of the different type of match, the different type of matches. So no doubt. And also I love JDX, his gear, bro. See, for folks, I know you were watching it at home, but when he came out, the brother was glowing. What the young people say, drippy. He was drippy.
Yeah. JDX is a star.
Yeah.
He's an absolute star. And that's what I love, is seeing someone like JDX and Adam Priest ending up on these kinds of stages so that the world can see just how great they are.
No question about it. And then we had the main event, a group that everybody loves, but I did not know how. See, when you hear their intro music on television, or you go to YouTube and you listen to their music, their intro music, it is something about it being in person. And I was dressed up just like Gerard. I had my suit and booted, and it had me doing the shoulders, and I was like, what's going, my inner BET plus inside of my blood was my inner Tyler. It just started to bubble forth, and maybe it was the Juneteenth spirit, because it's not too far away from there, what came up in me. And I was like, they're getting me hype, bro. Yeah. Wow. Absolutely. Private Party versus Myron Reed and Casey Navarro. Mr. Bonner, take it away.
So this is another dream match. You got Private Party, an incredible team who some might say has kind of gotten distracted over the last year or so in AEW with all that's gone on with, the Matt Hardy office and then the Andrade office. And now they're finally free to be the Private Party that got signed to AEW. Private Party that beat the Young Bucks in the first round of the AEW Tag Title Tournament. So that Private Party is who we got to see at Battle Slam. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with Casey Navarro and Myron Reed, current 3-time MLW middleweight champion, Casey Navarro, really one of the top contenders for that middleweight title, and the tension you saw between the two, because Navarro has challenged Reed for a title match, and they're scheduled to fight very, very soon in MLW. But if you are familiar with Casey Navarro and you saw him at Battle Slam Vendetta, Navarro really only cares for himself. And so when you've got the opportunity to have AEW versus MLW in a bit of a turf war, Navarro could care less about MLW, the implications, or anything like that. And as great as Myron Reed and Casey Navarro are individually, they couldn't seem to put their differences aside long enough to get this win over Private Party for the win.
Exactly. Bro, Mark Quinn and Isaiah, these dudes, I said, Private Party drips charisma. They are soaking wet. They drown in it. If you want to, these dudes, I mean, yeah, I just absolutely love these dudes. And I look forward to them reaching huge heights. And like I said, I've said this on previous episodes, multiple time AEW tag teams. They should be the pillar of the tag team division, to be honest. And yeah, the beef was there. Myron, Casey Navarro. Myron, one thing that really popped out about Brother Reed is that that dude is strong. He doesn't look. He's compact and he's very compact. But the dude was doing some transitional moves and offense that I was like, this dude has a core that I envy at 31 years old. I don't have a core at this point. It's all gone. But I need the secret to core secrets. But the dude. They did work, and Casey Navarro again. It was beef throughout the whole time, but again, it was a great It was a great way to end the pay-per-view and have us pumped when we left. And I honestly was so jacked up and energetically wise after this, I didn't go to sleep till 2 a.m. the next day.
Oh wow, I believe it. It was a vibe. It was an entire vibe, and so I think if you guys get a chance to come to Atlanta when you hear about the next Battle Slam, you should do it, because certainly it is an experience live. And let me also say this. Thank you to everyone who ordered this on pay-per-view on Fight TV. And for those who have not, I would like to just ask you to go ahead and do that. I think this is really important. You know, we've made a lot of noise over these last 6 to 10 years about the absence of African-American wrestlers, or the presence or the lack thereof of us, or events for us, and things of that nature. And so now when moments like Battle Slam happen, it becomes important that we support these types of things. Yes, support it on the socials, which I think is extremely important. But the two places of currency that the business really pays attention to is what happens on social media and what happens in terms of buy rate on pay-per-view. So when you actually order it on pay-per-view, I'm going to get real in people's business. When you order on pay-per-view versus, sharing a link or, sharing someone else's fight account, when you actually order it, those are the numbers that cause Fight TV to go, we need to show up for this. Mm-hmm. And so, for instance, the fact that so many people paid attention to Battle Slam Vendetta is what caused this whole pay-per-view situation to happen. And so for Fight TV to bring their people in to make this thing happen is really, really special. So if you want to see more events like this for the culture that speak directly to what it is that you like, then by all means, order the pay-per-views. And here's the cool part. I'll also say this, and then put that up. One of the unique things about this day and age is we get to watch the birth of wrestling companies. Mm-hmm. That's something that we can't often say. We didn't get to watch WWE when it was born, because it's been, around for well over 50, almost 60 years. We didn't really get to watch WCW. It was born because it was birthed out of the NWA, And so now when you start seeing things like the birth of AEW and a lot of the other new companies, unfortunately, I think people have tried to superimpose what WWE might do onto something that's brand new. Well, you can't ever make a comparison between a 60-year-old and a toddler. Can't do it, right? So with that said, I want to also say when you're supporting new companies and things of that nature, be prepared to experience the growing pains that happen with a new company. There may be challenges that happen. We've seen it with AEW has had challenges, and WWE and Peacock have had challenges. All of this technology can present challenges, but don't let that be the thing that says, I'm not going to support this, because it is your kind of support that allows larger sponsors and the like to be able to go, now we need to get involved in this, because this is where the people and the money is.
Exactly. And there's nothing more powerful by voting with your dollar. Like Gerard said, and I'm going to hammer it home even more. When you invest in another man, person of color, a black man, and we know historically how wrestling has had its warts. We are investing in him, his family, and the vision. We're investing in how valuable we see hip hop culture. As much as people complain about how hip hop is $1 billion industry and we're not reaping the benefits, and we don't run it, and we aren't the arbitrators or arbitrators of it, then we have an opportunity on a ground floor level to do this. I'm telling you now, this is going to be the hottest ticket in town. As a person who went to the first and who's been to Terminus, this honestly will be the hottest tickets in town. And I can see it getting bigger and bigger. And when it's in arenas and it's doing huge things, I'm going to remind you and say, you could have been one of the first. And everybody likes to be the first. So vote with your dollar. Tell them where they can find you, Brother Bonner, and the Battle Slam pay-per-view.
Absolutely. You can find the Battle Slam pay-per-view, Battle Slam Fight for Atlanta, and Battle Slam Vendetta. They are on Fight TV right now. Battle Slam Vendetta is free. You can check that out. Battle Slam Fight for Atlanta. You do have, it's a cost. It's only $15. Not a big cost at all, but definitely worth checking that pay-per-view out. You can hear our commentary, see all of the cool things that happened on that night. You can find me on the socials at Bonnerfied, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can check out the podcast, The Faction, at The Faction Show. And you guys can check out my new merch line on Pro Wrestling Tees. It's prowrestlingtees.com/Bonnerfied. Brand new shirt there that simply says to bet on you. I am a firm believer that for all the gifts and talents that you have been divinely gifted, as much as you have supported everybody else, it's time to believe in yourself, bet on you, and you'll be amazed at the things that you can get accomplished. So check that out at prowrestlingtees.com/Bonnerfied. And as always, brother, thank you for the opportunity to come on your platform and to just chat and talk about wrestling. I appreciate it.
Man, what a blessing. It is a blessing to be alive in this day and age and to have the escape of pro wrestling. So folks, I want you to follow us. Send us an email if you want more content and different and interesting comment like these pay-per-views. You can email us at wwbpodcastfan@gmail.com. Again, wwbpodcastfan@gmail.com. And we have changed and made it even easier for you to follow us on IG. All you got to do now is go to www.podcast_WWB_podcast_. Guys, thanks for coming on a special Battle Slam episode of the WWB podcast. Peace.